Give your glasses on. You ready? Okay. Ready to rumble. Hello. Hey, everybody. I hope you can hear me. All right. I'm Catherine Segerson. I'm the editor of Catamaran. This is Elizabeth McKenzie, the managing editor of Catamaran. And we're very excited to launch the 34th issue of our magazine, the Fall 2021 edition. You guys are in for a real treat tonight. We have 13 people reading, right?
Yep.
13 people reading. We try to stick to an hour. So if you haven't seen it yet, here it is, and it's behind us too. The new issue of Catamaran. I just want to say a few words about this amazing cover. I don't know, we're located in Santa Cruz, California, and this is our first wave cover in almost 10 years, okay? But we have waves in every issue of the magazine. But this is the first time a wave has made it to the cover. And the cover artist is Michael Allen. And he sent me a bunch of waves to our submissions with a long cover letter that described his process. So I'm just going to read one paragraph of it so you guys can get an idea what's behind this. In this paragraph, he says, as I was shooting these photographs, I was beginning to capture images of what appeared to be hand-blown glass that also at times resembled a Japanese painting. A surfer, artist, father figure of mine from Hawaii, Rich Jackson, saw this in my images and said, Shibui. With Shibui, there's depth and complexity in each image, such that when one sees the photo at a later time, it brings about something new, and perhaps the observer gains new insight. But within complexity, there is also simplicity in the aesthetics of Shibui. There are layers within the art, and the piece of art becomes personal to the observer. The photograph, like a well-written book, becomes a personal journey for each individual. So I just thought that's so appropriate for what we're doing tonight. And, I think we'll just get started with our readings. I want to just go over the logistics of this crowdcast. Over here, you see the chat. Feel free to chat during the readings, and you can do the clap. Emojis come up. So encourage the readers that way, even though we're not having a live audience sound. We can't see or hear any of you, so you can be eating dinner or doing anything you want. The other thing is here, there's a button there. If you really like what you hear, you can buy our fall issue by just clicking on that button. So feel free to do that. And there's also another button down there, ask a question. If you're having some like technical issues or anything like that, send me a question and I'll see it without having to see it in the chat where it could get lost. All right, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first reader. And I'm really excited for Alison Turner. Okay, Alison Turner. Alison Turner's manuscript, The Second Split Between, was the winner of the 2021 Catamaran Poetry Prize for West Coast Poets. And the book will be published in fall of 2021. She lives with her husband under the Hollywood sign in Los Angeles, California. She received a JD from the UCLA School of Law, and during the years of a busy appellate practice, reserved the hours of 5 to 7 a.m. for reading and writing poems. Her poems have been published in Nimrod, Mid-American Review, the Hudson Review, San Pedro River Review, the American Journal of Poetry, Catamaran Literary Reader, and other journals and anthologies. And she is the author of the chapbook, What to Do in an Emergency. And just give me just a second. So how do you do the oh next? Yes, it's thrilling. The book is coming out, well, this month, the end of this month. You see her?
Oh, yeah. Is that the green room?
No, she's not in the green room. She's in the audience.
Okay.
Oh, Michael Allen's here.
Wow.
Okay. There she is.
Oh, there.
So many people here tonight. We had trouble finding Allison. Okay. See, now you go like that, and then you can see.
Okay.
Okay, Allison.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you for that. So, I am going to read 3 poems. The first from this gorgeous work of art, and it's called Ode to Hollywood Boulevard with Crows in September. Thanks to NPR on the car radio, I'm thinking about giraffes falling so far to be born, and still wondering if the saints who levitate like clockwork by the wax museum are dreaming on empty, if the woman dressed in fishnet waiting at the curb is that little Cub Scout's mother, and there, the legless man on a skateboard polishing the sidewalk stars. Who is he at night when he goes home? Last night, fresh off his first audition, David told us that in comedy, the timing of your line depends on whether there is 1 camera or 2. What catches attention and what is caught. What we do and do when someone, anyone, yells, action. Oh, ephemera, time is filled with us. Let us praise everything against the nothing. I too have posed with Superman on a dare. September, 2 crows watching, the light about to change. Seasonal shift Morongo Basin. That day, dry clouds ferried dry lightning north from Mexico. On the graveled mountain, sprung pods, sparse grasses, the broken lobes of cactus. Where the runoff found its many paths, molten tributaries turned a brilliant bleed, the wind itself fire. When the desert burns, unhealed wounds are laid open and it's easy to hate. That day, even the dead went away. The moments in between went away. Enough went away. One by one, the lights along the highway blinked out. We didn't see coming what happened next. It did not heat up. Instead, it began to rain. Earthquake Hollywood. In the rubble of Serrano Avenue, they think again of Yerevan, the groans and whispers from under the street, red coffins, the air smelling of burlap and cellar dirt. Remember Mexico City? The giant skeleton on display, a tiny family around the table eating dinner between his ribs. All that waiting, all that wanting to be unharmed. There was and there was not, the old Armenians say, beginning every story. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. That was beautiful.
Well, I'm very happy to introduce our next reader, who is Sam Feldman. Okay. Sam Feldman is graduate of the Writing MFA program at Columbia University. His fiction has appeared in the Dilly Dune Review, in the Journal of Wild Culture, grew up in Wyoming, and currently resides in Brooklyn, New York. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. Good to be here. Thank you to the whole Catamaran team and everyone for being here. Okay, well, in the interest of time, I'll just dive in. Okay. Out Highway 130 past Sheep Mountain, where the road flattens one last time before charging up the snowy range, you'll find a small alpine town called Centennial. Population 200, 5 spots to get a cold drink. Riley Travis Sjogren's life there was lazy and undisturbed. He wore jeans chopped off at the knees, the same t-shirts he'd worn in high school, and in summer he didn't wear shirts at all. He was one of the more well-put-together Centennialites. He lived down a dirt road that hugged the limestone gulch, where the houses were made from sturdy, robust logs, unlike the rundown sheds that littered the highway side. He would go days without hearing another human voice, but he didn't consider himself lonely. He spent time bird-watching and staring down the road, thumbing the dial on his binoculars, and when cars with non-Wyoming plates drove past, he'd shout into the wind that this was a small town, and he aimed to keep it that way. His life was comfortable and boring. He had more than enough money, and in his opinion, everything should stay the way it had always been. The first time he saw Courtney, it was late July. She walked up his drive, wearing big glasses and moccasins, and at first he thought she was an out-of-towner who had taken a wrong turn. "Howdy," he said, after she climbed onto his porch and said hello. "You lost?" Oh, no. She had a strong, mannish jaw, though not unattractive. "My husband and I just bought the place down the road, in that grove of trees." "Smithson Place?" "Beaumont Place now. Courtney Beaumont." He shook her hand and gave his name. He wasn't very interested in being chummy with his neighbors. "Smithson property is okay," he said. "It's something. You've got quite the place yourself. Lived here long?" "Forever." She turned east, shading her eyes from the sun bursting over Sheep Mountain, the rays cascading down the evergreen slopes until they settled in Centennial Valley. Far in the distance moved a herd of cattle, dark dots spilling into each other, heads bowed to the earth as if in prayer. Riley wondered if he'd looked at that patch of land before, or if his eyes had settled somewhere new. "You know," she said slowly, "I've been a lot of places, but I don't think I've ever seen a view like this." "Probably not," he laughed. The view was his favorite topic. "I still ain't used to it." "I've been here less than a week, and already I feel closer to God." She was looking over the valley. Riley was looking at her. He remembered out-of-towners who had said sappy stuff about Centennial, how it was quaint, untamed, majestic, a whole bunch of expensive words that didn't mean much. But this lady was genuine. He heard it in her voice. This town had snatched her and changed her. He saw she was more than attractive. She was beautiful, with dark, slightly greasy hair and dark eyes that saw the same old view as new and wonderful. For the first time in his life, Riley Travis Sjogren was in love. He wouldn't realize that for months, though, and in the moment he only looked at her diamond wedding ring with a tinge of bitterness. He struggled for something to say, finally asking what had brought her to these parts. She told him her husband had made money in finance, he was pleasantly successful, and with a spare cash, they'd decided to buy a summer home out in nature. True, unadulterated nature. "I've done this and that. Now I work with kids at our church, but work falls off in the summer because the families go to summer homes." Riley asked what kind of town had so many folks with summer homes. "Darien, Connecticut. Ever been?" "Farthest I've gone is Rapid City." A part of him was laughing at himself for the small talk, but he felt more inclined to conversation than he had in years. "You real religious, or in it for community?" She smiled. "God and faith are extremely important to me." Before he could reply, she'd asked him what he did for work, and the way she asked let him know she was done discussing religion. Riley hesitated, wanting to tell the truth. He didn't work, and his money and livestock traced back to the Johnson County War, when the federal government had helped wealthy ranchers stamp out a cattle hands uprising. Some people thought his inheritance was rotten, and there was no denying it was bloody. He didn't know how Courtney would feel about the truth, so he told her taking care of hummingbirds was his real work. He pointed toward the feeder swinging from the eaves, where Rufus chased a broadtail, darting, swooping, and hovering. "The orange one is the Rufus," he explained. "Real territorial." They watched the feeder for a minute. Wing beats filled the porch. "They're doing the tango," she said. He asked her to sit, opening his hand toward the only other chair, a knobby oak piece on which he'd slapped a thick pillow to soften the wood's bite. She sat, curled her legs under her. Now he knew she was a church lady. He could see she dressed like it, with a long-sleeved shirt hugging her neck and wrists and wide, loose jeans. They sat in silence while clouds drifted across the buttes to the north of Sheep Mountain, and the Rufus buzzed angrily. Riley suspected she was looking at him from the corner of her eye. He wanted her to look, but when he turned to catch her, she wasn't. You want to stay for lunch? She rose and said thanks, but she should actually be going. It was a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Sjogren. However, John is smoking ribs tonight, another of his hobbies, and we'd love to have you. He's been looking forward to meeting the neighbor. Riley's fine. Appreciate the offer, but I'm afraid tonight isn't the night. The thought of meeting her husband turned his stomach. Saying farewell, she stepped off the porch, ducking under a stray branch, and headed home. He watched her walk down his drive, and he blinked, wanting to remember this image, Courtney Beaumont foregrounded before endless Wyoming, which really was everything the out-of-towners claimed and a million things more. All right, I think I'll call it there. Thanks, folks.
Thank you, Sam. So that was the short story Aspen Country. You guys are going to have to get the issue to read the whole thing. It's an amazing story. Our next reader for poetry is Marie Marchand. Marie Marchand's manuscript Gifts to the Attentive was a semifinalist for the 2021 Catamaran Poetry Prize for West Coast Poets. Her poetry and essays have been published in Patterson Literary Review, Tiny Seed Literary Journal, High Plains Register, the Writing Cooperative, the Seattle Times, the Bellingham Herald, and numerous chapbooks. Her poetry was recognized by the Allen Ginsberg Poetry Award and Wyoming Writers. She is the author of the poetry collection Pink Sunset Luminaries. Please welcome Marie Marchand.
Hi, thank you so much, Catherine, and good evening, everyone. I'm grateful to Catamaran for including my poem, My Gather, in this beautiful issue. Tonight, I'm going to share 3 poems, starting off with this love poem that I wrote for my husband, Steve. My Gather. Caught in moon tides at twilight, briny seawater scrubs and sears my lungs. A hypnotic pulse illumines the shore, my beacon. You pull me from the noose of shipwreck nets and froth waves, stitch me together, pin roses in my hair, and make me beautiful. Cortisol rivulets dig troughs in my brain from past schisms, making my heart-opening drama a glacial tiptoe. Yet you wait, and your patient witness invites repose. In your waters of benevolence I rest, my loosened fragments bonded by your love. The sea glitters now, and on its salt milk dreams I float. So for me, writing poetry is an attempt to capture beauty for healing for myself and the world. So they're like little prayers. Some are prayers of gratitude and honoring, like that was for my husband. Sometimes there's prayers of lament, and always the trajectory is healing. Tiny altars. I happened to be in the grocery store the moment I gave up for good. An elderly woman paused in passing, and as if she could see the mound of broken ribs in my mind, said to me, "It's time to shed your stone, Atlas." Her tone and delivery were casual, as if this would be an easy thing for me to do. She continued past me, and I proceeded down the aisle, gripping the cold metal cart. When I rounded the corners, my shoulders weakened, and the weight just rolled off, crumbling into tiny altars at my feet. There's so much healing power in being seen. My last poem, Rebel, is my rendition of a true story told to me by my beautiful late Aunt Sally. And so the little girl in this poem is her when she was in 4th or 5th grade, and it was her turn to do something in class. Rebel. She was supposed to give them apple pie. Instead, she waltzed into the bright-eyed classroom, steeled herself with grit and righteousness, lifted her head with poise, and gave them poetry. Once they realized they weren't getting pie a few stanzas in, the boys were crestfallen, resentful even, no sugar to pump through their veins, only the sweet melody of words to confound them and elevate them to lofty places. Poetry to fritter the day away, thought those solemn spectators oozing with machismo, their mouths still watering, no fair. In their hunger and woe, they rejected what she had to give and sat cross-armed, steaming. But the girls, in their rich, ambient imaginations, relished every syllable that emerged from the young poet's mouth, every sensuous sound of burning castles, heartache, searching for their wonderland. They gobbled up all of it, as if these words were the last morsels of beauty to be had. The boys, so focused on deprivation, were unaffected by the jewels she shared. Their souls didn't open even an inch, or so it appeared on the outside. On the inside, they were quivering. Instead of savoring the apple syrup that bubbles through the crust, they feasted surreptitiously on the rebel act of poetry. Who was this girl, graceful and gutsy in her refusal to conform? How dare she? They loved it. A slice of apple pie is so easily forgotten, but this girl and these words, they would never forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for reading all those beautiful poems. And oh, we have our next reader. Okay.
I'm blipping in and out, unfortunately.
Okay. You're on now, though.
Am I now? Okay. Well, I'll go as long as the internet allows me.
Can we introduce you first, really quick? Okay.
Everybody, this is Peter Converse, who's the author of Subway Girl, published by HarperCollins. And that's all we have. Here he is himself.
Thanks, Elizabeth. This feels very tenuous. It's been blipping in and out, so I'll try my best. This is an excerpt. The hero is visiting his motherland and visiting his little brother's boarding school and reporting back to his friend in Australia, his one friend. By the way, this boarding school makes even the St. Christian of God in Heaven school I went to briefly look like dog shit. I've decided to stay on as groundskeeper. I am actually a groundskeeper back home, so it's not as far-fetched as it sounds. But does it even sound far-fetched? What else? I'm sitting in on 2 classes. Macroeconomics sounds interesting. No, the teacher's good. That's why Gabe picked it. And Year 12 English. I went to the Year 12 English class because the head asked me if I wanted to, and obviously doesn't know about my magnificent track record. Otherwise, I'm thinking she keeps me separated. I thought, not in a million years, but I said, yeah, I'd love to, just to be gracious. She passes me their English syllabus and I see 1984 and Brave New World for the week I'm here. I kid you not. I broke into a sweat, but I ended up borrowing the books to see if my opinion has changed of the first chapters. But that little side activity has now become a quest. I will complete these 2 novels while I'm here or be forever damned. What else? I was asked what I thought about that Australian baseball player kid who was shot going for a run at his school over here. Could have been Gabe is what I thought. I'm pretty sure the person who asked me, a white dude on a mostly black bus, wanted me to say something racist. This is after he's heard me talking about Melbourne on the phone with Gabe, so he thinks, white Australian dude, I think I was being offered a moment with my white comrade in whiteness. I just said it was fucked up and left it at that. Too bad only one of the killers was actually black. It was the United Nations of American fuckheads, a white, a black, and a Hispanic. But I actually came across a site that replaced the white kid's face with a different shot of the black kids, and that is no lie. Why would you do that? Excerpt 2. It's hard to describe how reading 1984 makes me feel. Happy isn't the word. Cool, possibly? I guess I feel cool because a lot of people aren't going to read it outside of a course, and there's no limit to the distractions that can take you away once you've started, like new episodes that beckon and all the rest of it. And the book isn't fighting to keep you either, with sex and humour and action and dirt on celebrities, all the things that capture me in that order. It will be so easy to never pick it up, and it will be even easier to stop reading it because of how low-key it seems. Though once I got into it, I started to see it was pretty high-key, but not in the usual way, high-key with relevant philosophy. At first, the bleak, fictional world was like an anesthetic. I couldn't feel anything except the desire to get away from this boring, bleak world. But then having stuck around, I started wandering with Winston, looking for anything good in life, and then for my reason in an unreasonable world. And it was very familiar ground. And then the book's philosophy started fiddling around in my organs, and I was no longer anesthetized. So happy isn't the word. Cool probably isn't either. I feel more aware in a way, like I have a better picture of what the human spirit is and what might bury it. I guess that's high praise. God, it's nice out. Sun rays through the leaves. Magnifico. Universe needs 5 reasons not to kill us off. What goes in? Pyramids, planes, electricity, penicillin, the iPhone. We are clever and industrious, but same could be said for a virus. What goes in that shows we're more interesting than a virus? The soul is interesting, hard to define, but that might be the point. I'd put in the Rembrandt self-portrait when he was an old man. Take out electricity. They'd guess we had electricity if we had planes. Bell sounds. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Peter. That was awesome.
Did it all come through?
It did. Yeah,
Oh,
you didn't
great.
click off at all.
Oh,
Perfect.
fantastic. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you. All right. Our next reader, Sharon McElhone. Sharon McElhone's manuscript, Hunger in the Canyon, was a finalist for the 2021 Catamaran Poetry Prize for West Coast Poets. She's a journalist, columnist, and author of 7 books and 1 screenplay. She co-edited Mary Andrade's Day of the Dead, A Passion for Life, Dia de los Muertos, Pasión por la Vida, which won Best Travel Book for Spanish or bilingual at the International Latino Book Awards. Her fiction has appeared in the new short fiction series, excuse my Spanish accent, Lavo Me Latina, and the anthology Basta, from University of Nevada, Reno Latino Research Center. She's half Ecuadorian and half Irish and lives here in Silicon Valley. Please welcome Sharon McElhone.
Thank you so much, Catherine and Elizabeth, for putting this together, and thank you for being here, everyone. I'm going to be reading 3 poems from my collection called Hunger in the Canyon. Here we go. Gisela, Toro Io. I watch his nostrils flare out, then in. Mucus strike a rusty yellow metal gate. Snorting, we cheat lungs, air gulping until a bell rings. This is the only time we are together, Toro Io. Sweat-soaked caramel hair, callous, twitching hide, thick, dusty, black glass eyes, a head that looks petrified, stuffed, hung on a wall. My left hand is wrapped under a leather strap, a weave suppled by those who've gone before me. The only anchor to this living creature, the only thing preventing me from the jolt, gates gone, the once dead eyes red, arms stay overhead. I ride, holding on with one hand, moving with the bucking. His only desire is to send me to the dirt. I ride from arched back to throwing solid hips, thrashing sky, lashing tail, a whip, ransacking horns, searching any soft place to gore. I don't think of him or whether I will die today. I think of riding. Perhaps a bone is lost, small price to pay, fleshy loose breast, thunderous kicks, ragdoll, right arm pumping, everything is frozen, still. Kiera, September 11th, the anniversary. Such a lonely day, sitting around, praying for the things you pray for after 2,900 people perish. Murdered, actually. A gross tension at the VTA rail. A black man wails, "How dare he wear that rag? Nuke that camel jockey." A Mexican girl replies with a cry, "Amen to that, brother." Grad student, thumb in a book, tongue wrestling with words. Yours and my peoples were the forsaken too. Drum busting sirens confuse before fire trucks pass, fade. We ask, did someone pick today to add salt to our still gaping 9/11 wounds? Ruthless. Will someone choose today to drive us deeper into that black hole of anger, division, and sorrow? Diabolical. We stay home. The train squeals to a halt anyway. Mount, head down. Remember, people, get off. Clip, clip. A young white man in jeans, clinging to boxers. Curb red ball cap. Wife beater tee. His eyes well tops. Who knows how far down they go. Nikia, hunger in the canyon. Naked under the covers, the countdown between fertility and my desert womb begins. Eggs wilting in the dark early morning. In the distance, a tree with no limbs. Then comes the hunger from deep within. A hunger that pushes me to the edge, a thriving river below in constant flow. Those who ride a rush, a breakthrough, pulling vessel from mouth. This hunger does not sink, driven as the river drives a boat. Sometimes in vain the hunger is fed. Fruit never drops. Other fruit cries with wet lips. Two in this love raft, yet I float these waters alone.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you very much.
Can't hear you.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Sharon.
Yeah. I'm happy to introduce next John Struloeff. John Struloeff's manuscript, The Shadow Waters, was a finalist for the 2021 Catamaran Poetry Prize for West Coast Poets He grew up in the coastal rainforests of Oregon and is now the city of Malibu's third poet laureate. He's the author of The Man I Was Supposed to Be and The Work of a Genius, and has published poems in The Atlantic, The Sun, The Southern Review, Prairie Schooner, Ziziva, Catamaran, PN Review, and elsewhere. He's a former Stegner and National Endowment for the Arts Fellow, and now directs the creative writing program at Pepperdine University. Please welcome John Struloeff.
Okay, John, do you have your video on? Oh, okay, here. There he is. Okay.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hello. I'm not able to see myself.
We can see you, though.
Oh, it can? Okay.
Yes.
So on my screen, it's appearing as a symbol.
We can see you.
Okay. All right. Well, hello, everyone. It's great to be here with all of you this evening, celebrating the new issue of Catamaran. And I'm going to read the poem that was selected for this issue of Catamaran. It's called Revealing the Wound. It was at a birthday celebration in the mountains for my sister, well into the night. No anger, no violence, just loud rock music from a pickup, a keg of beer that was half empty. 20 of us scattered around a few campfires in the forest, a stream rushing as it wound through the site. I sat on a lawn chair, a snapping coal of fire warming my shins, a cup of beer between my legs, my sister in a chair to my left. I remember laughing and feeling good to be there on this late spring night with everyone, about 5 miles up into the mountains, along gravel roads we all knew well. The older brother of a friend of mine came over and stood across the fire, swaying, a beer cup pressed against his stomach. We greeted him, and he us. Then he stood staring into the flames, the light reflecting like a hot memory in his eyes. We listened to the music and the stream, and when he didn't say anything more, I told my sister a story from earlier, and we joked, and it was a while before
Okay. Was that the end of the poem, John? I don't know. We cut off. Was it the end?
That was going really
It
well.
was going really well. We're going to, should we? Yes. Okay. Bring it back on the screen. All right. Just give us a moment here. Let's see if we can reboot really quick. Oh. All right. You're not live now, John. Okay, so we missed the end of that poem, I think.
Yeah.
Should we keep moving on?
I think we should move on, and then hopefully we can get John back.
Maybe we can get you back in the end or something. We missed the end of that poem. It's a beautiful poem, though. Thank you, John, for the amount we did here before it just cut off. I know, but I'm trying again, but
he's not live.
He's not live, which means his video's still cut off, so I can't bring him on. But we will try again. How's that sound for some maybe a grand finale or something?
Yeah.
Oh wait, here we go. Let's try now. it looks like, John, you came back on if you want to come back on. There he is.
All right.
Going.
Okay, so I
Don't go
guess
off.
lost the signal. Let's see here. Maybe I'll start in stanza 2, I guess, rather than reading all of it from the start. Okay. Okay. The older brother of a friend of mine came over and stood across the fire, swaying a beer cup pressed against his stomach. We greeted him and he us. Then he stood staring into the flames, the light reflecting like a hot memory in his eyes. We listened to the music and the stream, and when he didn't say anything more, I told my sister a story from earlier, and we joked, and it was a while before my friend's brother came around to me, leaned down in a confession, and asked, "Want to see something?" I nodded, sipped my beer, expecting something funny. He lifted his gray sweatshirt, exposing his stomach, and at the base of his ribs was an open wound like a mouth, blood smeared on his pale skin. "What the hell?" I asked. He laughed. "Got stabbed." I leaned closer to make sure I was seeing it correctly. My sister noticed. "Oh my God," she said. "You need to go to the hospital." He concealed the wound again and grew serious. "Can't," he said. "On probation. I'd end up in prison, lose my job." We all looked back at the fire, stared into the heat, became aware again of the darkness that had always been around us, and didn't ask what had happened. Instead, we told stories and joked and laughed until he wandered off near dawn, when the music had stopped, the coals coated in ash, the fire's last smoke pluming. And I wonder what it says about our lives at that time in that world, that we never spoke about it again. That's all. Thank you.
I'm so glad we got you back on for the whole poem.
Yes, thank you.
Good job. Thank you, John. Amazing. Our next reader is Na Zhong for fiction. Na Zhong is a writer and literary translator based in New York City. Her words can be found in the Shanghai Literary Review, Los Angeles Review of Books, the Margins Literary Hub, A Public Space, and The Millions, among other magazines. She is at work on her first novel, a metafiction about mother-daughter relationships illuminated through storytelling. So please welcome Na Zhong.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Catherine and Elizabeth, for accepting my story and putting together such a gorgeous issue. So the short story is titled My Brief Time as a Nationalist. It follows a Chinese international student teen who's enamored by a politically active Palestinian girl named Yasmin. Having failed to become Yasmin's friend, Teen turns to a rather nationalistic student organization, which eventually leads to her political awakening. What you need to know for this excerpt is that the main character Teen has been working on a short film with Yasmin, but there turns out to be a student protest on the day of the class presentation, and Yasmin refuses to attend or respond to Teen's request for a copy of the final edit, so Teen's a little bit pissed. In front of the street building, Sandwiched between a bakery chain and an optician, I spotted a familiar figure. Black, lean, casually cool. She was a cool girl, even I had to admit it. But what was she doing here? For a split second, I wanted to turn around and sneak away, but our eyes had already met, so I inhaled and steadied my steps towards her. "Hey, cutie," Yasmin said. "What are you doing here?" She leaned against the wall and crossed her arms over her chest. "I am the picket line." This was what I suspected, but I hadn't expected her to be so open about it. She saw the look on my face, and the smile in her eyes deepened. "Just kidding. I'm meeting up with a friend. We're doing a screening tonight." "What's the movie?" "An Israeli film. I translated its titles." "Really? That sounds amazing." Her phone probably buzzed, and she drew it from her cardigan pocket to check the new message. It hurt me a little, because it meant she had seen my message, but chosen to ignore it. "Shit, they're running late. Asked me to meet them there." "I'm taking the subway. What's your plan?" My plan had been to ask her for the video and attend the last class, but what did it matter now? More than ever, I was feeling the strange effect she had on me, and the eagerness to impress her or the fear of losing her respect was so intense that I made a decision as I said it. "I'm coming with you. I mean, to the subway station." Together we crossed the street, leaving the building, the class, the premiere, the strike, all behind us. On the square where the station was nestled among the trees, the chess players and the poster vendors had all gone, yielding to the vast space to young parents with their baby carts, students sharing food on the benches, doves pecking at the scraps. We slowed down. Yasmin fished out a small camera from her bag and took pictures of the square. "Do you mind?" She handed the camera to me and showed me where the shutter was. I held the device vertically and found Yasmin in the viewfinder. She raked her fingers through her thick hair and lit up a cigarette. Who was this girl? I thought. Why was I here, spending time with her? I knew nothing about her. What kind of house she had grown up in, what her parents were like, what festivals they celebrated, and what food they prepared for those occasions, what minor adventures she had gone through as a teenager. All the details that made a person incredibly dear to another and were locked like a pearl inside one's memories. I didn't know how to collect it. Growing increasingly aware of the pearl inside me, I realized that she knew equally little about me. The desire to be known and known intimately was so overwhelming that I found myself shaking a little. To my despair, I heard the rattling of my teeth. I took 2 pictures but couldn't find the button to check them. Oh, don't bother, it's a film camera. You know how to develop film? My father taught me. He's a photographer. For a living? Sort of, she shrugged. His job takes him around the globe, Europe, Asia, but mostly the Middle East. Sometimes he brought me along and we took pictures together. As if watching an image appearing on an empty sheet, I began to see where Yasmin had come from. Rejoicing at our budding friendship, I forgot myself and began to imagine all kinds of possibilities to deepen it. Let me know next time you guys go to China. Maybe my parents can. In my mind's eye, I saw my father, who ran a signage company, treating Yasmin and her father in a big banquet in his clumsy but generous way, embarrassing them with his kindness. Yasmin tilted her head. I don't think I'd ever visit China, but thanks. I should have asked her right away, instead of letting the dull pain of rejection brew in my mind in the days to come. But already bruised, I was too afraid to know her answer and recognize the truth in it. So I just smiled. Later, it occurred to me that I could have retaliated by saying, I don't think I'd ever visit Palestine, but it didn't feel true at the moment. A minute before, I'd been considering learning Arabic someday, at least how to read the alphabet. I returned her camera to her and she suggested taking a few pictures of me. I let her do it and endeavored to smile as much as my mouth allowed. But there seemed to be something wrong with the shutter. Yasmin checked the camera and said it was running out of film. Thank you.
Thank you, Zhong. That was the story is called My Brief Time as a Nationalist, and the entire story is just exquisite. So I hope people can read the rest.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Now,
I'm really happy to introduce Richard Tillinghast. Richard Tillinghast's manuscript, Blue, If Only I Could Tell You, was a semifinalist for the 2021 Catamaran Poetry Prize for West Coast Poets. He's published 12 books of poetry. His poems have appeared in New England Review, the American Poetry Review, the New Yorker, the Yale Review, the Nation, the Atlantic, the New Republic, the Yale Review, whoops, I already said that, the Paris Review, and the Best American Poetry. He's been and many others. He's been the recipient of grants from the Guggenheim Foundation, the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Endowment for the Humanities, the British Council, the Arts Council of Ireland, and other organizations. He won the James Dickey Prize for Poetry for 5 points, and his most recent collection of poetry is Wayfaring Stranger. He lives in Hawaii. Please welcome Richard Tillinghast.
From Hawaii. He's here from Hawaii.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really good to be here. And thank you, Catherine and Elizabeth. And thank you, Dorianne. And since we're riding on a catamaran, I thought it might be good to read a couple of poems that have to do with water and the sea. The first one is called Getting Out. The refugees were nervous, glancing up toward the hills, sensing the sniper with his telescopic sight and sinister nickname. What did they care about the history of human displacement? They were changing money and trying to sell their watches. Trucks packed with soldiers, boys really, sped along the dock, firing their rifles into the air. I think the gypsies were the most afraid. Then a truck with a loudspeaker appeared, moving slow down the boulevard after the national hero, giving orders in 3 languages. How many souls, how many nightmare nights could the little ship hold? They took on board as many as could pay. Small groups gathered on deck, talking quietly. It was an end and a beginning. Someone had brought a bottle, and they needed it. What a sigh ascended when the ship steamed out onto the Hungarian. The second of these two is called Boat. A door in the afternoon opened. The barometer fell a notch. The day turned inside out. Out over the ocean, I saw ghostings of rain, a granular shimmer of drizzle coming on shore. Big drops saucered the banana leaves, and when I hoisted an umbrella and walked out into it, the rain
Okay, Richard, we need to, we lost the signal just then. So we're waiting for your video to come back on. Sorry guys about this. We'll try one more thing. Here it comes. You're back on. We're not able to hear you, Richard, right now. I'm not getting audio. I don't know if anyone else is. So we missed the last part of the boat poem, I think.
Can anybody else hear Richard?
Okay, no. Okay, so we'll have to, maybe we can try you again, Richard, so you can finish that poem. All right, and we're going to move on to the next reader because I think your sound, video, audio. No audio. Okay.
Video.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard, for that first poem, and then hopefully we'll get to bring you back on if your video comes back for the rest of the boat poem, which is a beautiful poem. And Richard was one of our finalists too for the Poetry Prize. All right, so I don't know what's happening with that, so we'll go on to our next reader, which is going to be Laurie Woodford. And she's going to be sharing nonfiction. For over 20 years, Laurie Woodford has taught English to college students in the US and abroad. Her work has appeared or is forthcoming in the Antioch Review, the Chattahoochee Review, and the Minnesota Review, and she holds an MFA from Queen's University in Charlotte. So please welcome Laurie Woodford. Hi, Laurie.
Thank you. Hi. I hope Richard comes back.
We'll try to get him back.
Yeah. And I wish I were reading from Hawaii, but I'm not. So anyway, I will read from Klepto.
Yay, okay.
For 6 weeks in the late autumn of 2015, I taught a creative writing workshop at a men's maximum security prison in Toledo, Ohio. Colleagues who taught at the prison explained that to afford these men dignity, I should refer to them as incarcerated individuals. This as opposed to prisoners or inmates or the more antiquated jailbirds. I'd hear myself say 10 incarcerated individuals signed up for my writing workshop, secretly believing that the road to dignity would more likely start with the inmate's ability to, say, walk to the prison's van shackle-free, or choose to wear something besides oversized pants in America's brightest orange. There's mostly gray in prison, pale stone gray walls, dark pewter light bulb cages, steel gray officer uniforms. All of the gentlemen in my workshop were Black. The 11 of us, myself and the 10 men, congregated in a tight classroom on the prison's second floor, which was furnished with a square conference table that could squeeze 12, along with a small desk in the corner of the room. In the first half of our 90-minute class period, we analyzed works by published authors. During the second half, I prompted creative writing exercises, and we responded to essays written by the incarcerated individuals whom, unlike my undergraduate students at the university, were diligent in completing homework assignments. The prison buzzer sounded and the 10 men streamed from the corridor into our classroom. Coleman, a sturdily built gentleman in his 40s, I'd guess, slid an unoccupied chair out from the table. "Here, Woodford," he said, gesturing for me to take a seat. In this penitentiary classroom, there was no such thing as being on a first-name basis. I learned this from Jan, the middle-aged administrative clerk who accompanied me during the workshop. "We don't address each other by first names here," Jan said in a pleasant, matter-of-fact tone. She seemed to have a cordial yet boundary-driven relationship with the incarcerated individuals. Last names only. That rule had concerned my boyfriend, Bruce. "They call you by your last name?" he'd asked, worried that the repetition of Woodford over and over for 6 weeks by male maximum security prison inmates might make me easily findable on the outside. "Is that safe? I mean, what's wrong with Laurie?" He'd looked at me with wounded eyes, the same sad expression he most likely imagined having at my funeral, the one where the few parts left of me were poured into a pint-sized casket. Bruce also expressed concern about me teaching 10 male inmates in a classroom accompanied by one prison official, Jan, a clerk without a weapon. On workshop days, Jan sat at the corner desk, jotting to-do lists, while I sat at the table alongside the incarcerated individuals, talking about writer's voice and narratives. If a problem were to arise with the inmates, the best Jan could do, it seemed, would be to make a note of it. I wasn't worried. If one of the incarcerated individuals was willing to lose early parole to put out a hit on someone, I figured he'd have bigger fish to fry than me. The only thing I might do to tick off one of these men would be suggesting he improve the structure and pacing of his personal essay. I stacked my handouts and reams of writing paper on the table's surface. "Thank you, Coleman," I said, taking a seat. I wore black slacks, a buttoned-up cotton shirt, rubber-soled shoes, and no jewelry. Prison had plenty of rules. I could wear only closed-toed shoes, for example. Sandals were prohibited. I couldn't wear an underwire bra since it might set off the metal detector. No form-fitting clothing or revealing necklines. No spandex, no lycra, no skirt worn above the knee. No headband, scarf, or metal hairpins. Upon arrival, the contents of my briefcase were thoroughly searched. No notebooks with wire binding, and under no circumstances were cell phones allowed inside prison walls. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie.
Thank you, Laurie.
Thank
Klepto.
It's a very funny piece, and I hope everybody will read the rest.
Read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's a great pleasure now for me to introduce Jake Young. Jake Young's manuscript Blessings was a finalist for the 2021 Catamaran Poetry Prize. Young is the author of the poetry collection American Oak, the poetry chapbook What They Will Say, and the essay collection Terroir. He received his MFA from North Carolina State University and his PhD from the University of Missouri. And I'm happy to say he also serves as the poetry editor for Chicago Quarterly Review. Please welcome Jake Young. You know, you should have practiced.
Okay, Jake, hey. Your mic is not on, your microphone. We can see you, but we can't hear you. So can you like maybe check your microphone there? We can't get the audio. Yeah, no audio. So you do you want to? Okay, yeah, reconnect. There we go. Should hear you. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now, okay. Take it away, Jake.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. I just wanted to start off with, I'm going to read 3 short poems. I wanted to start with reading the poem that's in the wonderful new issue of Catamaran that's next to Kurt Solmsen's wonderful illustrations. So this is called Lake Knee High. And this is from my dear friend Carrie, who used to take me when I was living in Missouri to this lake where her family has a dock during the summer. And we would go drive around the lake on her family's boat and just have a wonderful time. The lake's surface shatters beneath the pounding sun. Shards of light gleam silver and green and shimmer over an unknown depth. The boat's motor wails in the wind, and we send scars rippling out across the surface of the lake. Caught between reflection and refraction, we cut the motor. Set to dive, we teeter above our blurred silhouettes, full of clouds and the reflection of clouds. I want to read a poem from my newest chapbook, What They Will Say, that just came out in March. It's untitled. The oldest maze we've discovered is 5,000 years old. The maze is a form found in nature, of wilderness domesticated, derived perhaps from our own intestines, our brain. My brother loved mazes as a child. He finished stacks of them, and every Halloween our parents took us to a corn maze at the pumpkin patch north of town. I once followed him through a dense maze, and at the end of it, we came to a pool of enormous carp. We fed them breadcrumbs, and as a mass of writhing fish broke the surface, it sounded as if they were laughing. This final poem is from a new collection that I have coming out from Red Hawk Press in October, called All I Wanted. And this poem's titled After Hours. This is also, in some ways, an homage to my time in Missouri. During my time there, I was working on a PhD, and I worked as a server and bartender at a fine dining restaurant. That's actually where I met my friend Carrie. And so this is about working there. After hours. The closing bartender mops behind the bar, ready to shut off the lights, ready for her own drink and soft sheets, ready to slip between 2 leaves rustling in this early spring air. I exhale the copper taste of a cash drawer, the flapped, starched linen of the final table flipped for the evening, the silverware polished and set in neat rows below the napkins stuffed into wine glasses raised to the stars. It's long past last call. The stars are drunk and we all wander out. I am the water in the empty water glasses, the flame in the unlit candles, earth removed from the bar's foundation, and the siren that's vanished in the air. The stars sing, and I am the knife clipped to my front pocket and my keys clipped to the back, the dishes drying in the rack, the cat's bowl and the cat. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. That was great. Okay, and that was a finalist also for the Catamaran Poetry Prize, Jake Young. Next, we have Michelle Bidding, and she was the winner of our first Catamaran Poetry Prize. Is she on?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just introduce you. She was shortlisted for the 2020 Montreal International Poetry Prize, the 2021 Fish Poetry Prize, which was judged by Billy Collins, and Read Magazine's 2020 Edwin Markham Prize for Poetry. She won the 2018 Fisher Prize and Quarter After Eight's 2018 Robert J. DeMott Short Prose Contest. And her fourth collection of poetry, Broken Kingdom, won the 2018 Catamaran Poetry Prize for West Coast Poets and was named to Kirkus Review's Best of 2018. So please welcome Michelle Bidding. And I'll let you take it away, Michelle.
Okay. Hi. You can see and hear me? Okay. Yes. Hi. So it's great to be here. Thank you so much, Catherine and Elizabeth and everybody. I'm going to read a poem from this beautiful fall issue of Catamaran that everybody should go and get if you don't have one already. And with this artwork by Frank Heider next to it. So this is Green Parrots. You hear them squawk before you see them fly over. Their acid emerald opulence, sequin fleeced from Nefertiti's headdress, stitching the clear firmament today. Wings fleet and dexterous as surgeons' hands. Like the doctor who once removed a lump from my groin and another from my armpit, shearing off malignant weight, staunching a creeping death. The bolt of my skin spread taut beneath his needle, his fingers that flickered at the surface, and then below as I dreamt, plucking the bad hearts, the demon globules, my body balanced in the scale of his operating room dish. So I wasn't surprised, but more impressed when he told me later in recovery how he kept himself in shape. Walking 5 miles a day to get from home to hospital and back again, his hands' agility maintained through a nightly jewelry making hobby he'd taken to, mind steadied and phalanges muscled, threading beads and tiny baubles onto each naked length of thread that might, in time, circle a woman's wrist or neck, illuminating the delicate human hollows, the places pinched or kissed or abandoned to love's bardo, so that she might stand adorned before her mirror, those beveled echo chambers, trick shields, crystal coffins of immortality, begetting our fragile selves like lilies of the field in flight, or flocks of small birds, their flurry of green that arrives without warning and with a crash and a cry disappears into the darkening August sky. Next, I'm going to read a poem from this beautiful book that Catamaran made of my poetry. This is Touched. You've got that half crown of raw silk daisies with the sun-poked centers wrapped around your head again. Sparks and ribbons streaming, the lashes of winged creatures sketched into a blue journal you always carry. I don't know how we got so lucky to say we know you well when clearly you are from somewhere else, wherever extraterrestrials blossom, dotting forests like the white rabbit pages you inhabit, like magic mushrooms, every surface your dark pen sprouts its ink. But I'm convinced that, aside from enough chicken nuggets and fries, which is pretty much all you ate the first 12 years of your life, enough soft garments, a sturdy roof, and fat blankets to shield the night's cruelest breeze, the greatest gift a being may be born with is to arrive a little touched. Antennae like tiny organic blades stationed inside the ears and eyes and hands, which I suppose implies a kind of fierce fragility, a loony willingness to be opened and receive, to allow the earth's cosmic squirming to current your knuckle bones and throat, calling back to that strange, unearthly divide, what the great St. Vincent Millay meant in one of her finer broken moments when she said, God, I can push the grass apart and lay my finger on thy heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. Woohoo! Beautiful. Okay.
Oh.
Well, I'm very happy now to introduce Stephen D. Gutierrez, who's going to read from his essay, The Broken One. Stephen D. Gutierrez is the author of 3 collections of stories, essays, and the winner of an American Book Award. Past contributor to Catamaran, he is widely published in magazines and anthologies, most recently in Chicago Quarterly Review, At Bank, and River Teeth. He retired recently from California State University East, where he taught in the English department for many years. Please welcome Stephen Gutierrez.
Thank you, Lisa. And thank you, Catherine, for putting together this incredible magazine. Really honored to be in it. So yeah, I'll read from my essay, The Broken One. I'll just read the first part, about 4 minutes worth. On Sundays, I'm there with the rest. I say hello to people I expect to see. I sit up front, but not so close to the altar and what is about to unfold that I feel self-consciously pious. God's mystery, after all, requires a little elbow room. I'm not needed. I'm not even important. With that in mind, I crane my head. I am curious. Even though I know what to expect, every week intrigues me. Who knows when I may be called upon to administer spiritual CPR? I'm qualified. I've been near dead, spiritually, and awakened by the soft ministrations of the spiritually, the religiously adept. If an emergency arises, I may be the one to resort to prayer, fast, furious prayer, but not panic and cause a furor. I won't be the one to get up and move next to the visibly shaken and offer personal relief, a comforting message, a squeeze of the hand. It's going to be all right. It's not for me to intrude. They are alone with God. They can appreciate human sympathy, but want mostly to be left alone in that original relationship that they have just discovered, the broken ones. I'm getting ahead of the story, which is a non-story. I'm slipping just a little. I'm still bright-eyed. The mirror confirmed this morning, with a decent head of hair and a passable face. Latinx, I guess they call us now. Well, sure. I'm Californian, Mexican-American, dinosaurian. I'm a reincarnated Greek tragedian with a cross around my neck, the one who got booed in the amphitheater for being too soft on his awful doomed heroes. I'm under medication for minor aches and pains of the spirit. I'm lastingly married with an ex-Catholic who keeps me sensible. I'm capable of love. I'm active. I'm 61 and newly retired and hale. The church is prosperous and comfortable. It's up on a hill that's not a big, imposing hill, but more like a mound that a driveway curves up. At the top, near the entrance, a statue of Jesus receives visitors with upraised hands. Though it is green with age, it intends to depict him newly transfigured, the obvious host for Church of the Transfiguration. So blink once or twice and see him in gold. I'm sitting in silver, a spacesuit. I am not. I'm just a bit of a fool. Transfiguration Catholic Church sits in a sleepy, unincorporated town called Castro Valley in the San Francisco Bay Area. We're in the East Bay, the supposedly grittier side, which it is, if you are looking for grit. We're placid, suburban, safe. We're fun. Sports are big. Like all of America, we follow our teams. And I turn rabid in the winter months when those damn Golden State Warriors t-shirts appear in mass. In the summer, we're roughly divided between San Francisco Giants and Oakland A's fans, resulting in a pleasant mix of orange and black and green and gold gear when you look out upon the pews. As this takes place before the pandemic, this imagining of my church that is about to reopen fully, I'm going to say the church is 3/4 full, maybe more. I know the lay of it, the spiritual pockets, and they are predictable. The deeply damaged sit in the back, as I did as a teenager in a gray, smoggy city in LA County, deep, deep in Lakers territory, which has nothing to do with this story, this narrative. I'm a stickler for calling things right. I'm determined to put picket fences around genres and keep people from identifying them wrongly. I'm a retired surveyor of the literary landscape. On laid-back days, which are always in ordinary time, never in a high holy season, I wear my old work clothes, an old miner's scarf around my neck, and a battered prospector's hat. I'm one-eyed and grim. I've no idea why I'm making this up. None. The Californian in me? Pickaxe envy? To atone, I must sit in the middle section where the little white liars bunch up and admit the awful, awful truth. I only propose the front section at the outset for purposes of appearing grand in this essay, even though it isn't the front I'm supposedly occupying. I'm only in business class as opposed to first class, if you know what I mean. Only basking in second-tier comfort as opposed to curtain luxury with a view of the pilot's shoulder when the cockpit opens. Well, folks, we got a bit of bumpity bump. Like the church is a great big airliner headed to Salvation International, and without turbulence, we ain't shit. I'm saying the Lord laid me low, and that ain't no joke. I, Stephen D. Gutierrez, have never been the same. You have my sworn testimony. Let me be your guide. You don't want religion, only a tour, and I'm fine with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, thank you, Stephen. Well, we have one more reader, Dorianne Laux, but we want to see it maybe if Richard Tillinghast would like to read one poem. It looks like from my end, your internet's working now, and you only got to read 1.5 poems. So let's see if we can see if you can come on and read one poem.
Oh, it looks like he's connecting.
It looks like it's working. I feel bad we cut you off in the middle of that beautiful poem. So, oh yes, it's working. So you just need to accept the invitation. There we go. All right. Take it.
A door in the afternoon opened. The barometer fell a notch. The day turned inside out. Out over the ocean, I saw ghostings of rain. a granular shimmer of drizzle coming ashore. Big drops saucered on the banana leaves, and when I hoisted an umbrella and walked out into it, the rain said something to the umbrella I raised. It was the opposite of big-shouldered or insistent, but steel wouldn't have stood a chance against it. And who was I in the midst of it all? The highest good is like water, Lao Tzu wrote. Water gives life to the 10,000 things it does not strive. I wanted to be a leaf buoyed up by the current on a river a child imagines while he plays in the gutter in a rainstorm. It's raining in the story too, and they're out in a boat, the boy and his dog. Thank you. Hope you could hear it that time.
Bravo, Richard. That was beautiful. I'm so glad you got to read that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Terrific poem. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right. We have one more reader, and it's Dorianne Laux, and she was actually the judge for this year's Catamaran Poetry Prize. So she got to read all these wonderful manuscripts that were submitted and selected the winner and the finalists for us. So let me just read her bio while she's connecting here. Pulitzer Prize finalist Dorianne Laux' most recent collection is Only as the Day is Long, New and Selected Poems. She is also the author of The Book of Men, which was the winner of the Patterson Poetry Prize, and Facts About the Moon, which won the Oregon Book Award. She teaches poetry at North Carolina State University and Pacific University. In 2020, Laux was elected the Chancellor of the Academy of American Poets. So please welcome Dorianne Laux. Yay.
Hello, thank you so much, Catherine, and thank you for putting together this lovely issue and for offering a book prize to West Coast poets. Thank you, too, to all the finalists and semi-finalists for continuing to put California and Santa Cruz on the map. Here in Richmond, California, in the center of the Rosie River Park, I've been watching stars. And so both of my poems are about that universe we swirl around in, the vastness of it, the beauty of it, and its infinite pulsing space. This is the poem from the issue, and it's paired with this lovely photograph by Michael Allen that's on the cover. But if you look at it, you can also see a raven. This is called I Saw a Star Move. Above my suburban front yard, standing in my shorts under our palm tree sentinel, slender symbol of paradise, tropical abundance imported as seeds from around the world, transforming California, dancing in the dark on a breeze from the Santa Ana winds. Those who traveled here heard the words, "Go west," and suddenly we moved in great columns like ants, following the faint mist of sea spray and fish scales, arriving without history, inventing some new version of ourselves. We survived on our instincts, ripe avocados and Pacific plums, pan-fried sea perch and sand bass, rolled tobacco between our thumbs, built dry goods stores and drug stores that sold calendars so we could count the days of sunlight moving across the floor, slipping in under the garage door. And maybe that star was a UFO, a mothership leaving her home for our panhandle of a planet, roving through space like a goddamn covered wagon, looking for the promised land. One night in a million, when a star pulsed overhead, and I was there as witness, a young girl in the modern world, barrettes in my hair, my hands in the air, welcoming them the only way I knew how, shouting in my child's lonely voice, "We're here, we're here." So I thought I would also read another poem about stars. And this one is about my dear brother. It's called Winter Brother. These nights I walk out and look up at Orion, my winter brother, spellbound each time I trace him to wholeness with my eye, from the star on his right shoulder to the star on his left, down to form his torso, lower down his little skirt. I know his right hand holds a club, but I replace it with two splayed arrows pointing up, and his left a lion's pelt that for me becomes a bow, from hunter to archer, just like that. And why not? Whoever made him up is lost to history's shimmering distance, and I'm here now in my dark backyard, a splash of ghost sibling lilies glowing at my feet. I like to think he's my older brother who died far from home on a lonely road, his broken body found in a muddy gutter, swollen with rain. That's how it is down here on the death-packed earth, where nothing is eternal. The bodies buried haunch to haunch beneath the indifferent dirt. I remember his handwriting on a postcard, the lines squashed between the address and the card's cut edge. I miss you. I love you. I saw some sights today you wouldn't believe. On the other side, a wall of etched bricks, a statue of Karl Marx's fat head, his beard of gray stone. When he died, I felt alone. Some part of me went cold, some echo following me like a false star. So I lifted my brother into the sky, where I could ride on his belt as he strode over the 7 continents, sharing an eyedropper of water between us. And I happened to go through a photograph album, and this is a picture of my brother, Ernie. And you can see how beautiful he was, and that's a picture of me. I thought I'd end with a poem about aliens because you can't look at the sky without thinking of aliens. At least I can't. Bedtime stories. I like falling asleep to ancient aliens, watching those flickering X-File lights tessellating through the forest, the glowing discs, triangles, and long metal lozenges, the 3 basic shapes of UFOs, caught on cameras and wobbly videos. I love the secret of the pyramids, how the man in a lab coat, scientist of renown, asks how the heck did they do it? What kind of celestial saw did they use? How did they transport them from one island to another? What of alien angels carved in the chapels of massive stone? I like listening to the hum of space gears and distant stars, like tinnitus in a tin cup. The sand turned to glass where the ship touched down on their rotating bands of turquoise lights. I love the childlike drawings of those who've been abducted, their ovoid heads on spider-like bodies, their eyes translucent capsules of vitamin B12. Mouthless, earless, sexless creatures tasked with human examination, prodding and pulsing above the darkly vaginal ones, flowering penises that must confound them as much as they confound us, bathed in a shower of curiosity and confusion beneath the incandescent dome. Episode after episode, they arrive and depart, each show more impossible and vaguely probable than the last, until the night finally takes me into the sweet release of sleep, and I doze off in the TV's cathode beam, its glitter and glint, its gleam and flare, as I fall up into space, made of nothing but light and time, formless and flailing, an alien to my waking life. So you must watch Ancient Aliens, especially if you have trouble sleeping. So thank you so much, Catherine, again, for such a beautiful issue.
We are definitely watching Ancient Aliens.
It has everything. It has history, geography, culture. You know, I mean, you will learn so much. So thank you.
Oh my gosh. What a joy. Beautiful, beautiful poetry reading. Thank you so much, Dorianne.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, that was the grand finale, guys. Thank you for staying, and be sure and get your issue and enjoy so much more in the magazine. And yes, and thank you, Dorianne, again for judging the Poetry Prize, and for all of you, the winner, the finalists, the semi-finalists that could be here tonight reading poetry.
It was fantastic.
It was fun.
Thank you.
All right, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
If you have any friends that missed it, the recording will be here. Same link, okay? Good night.
Good night.
Bye. The chat's still live if you want to say goodbye.